now.
Good morning. We'd like to start by acknowledging that the City of Hamilton is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant. As settlers, that means defining our responsibilities in decolonizing the structures we work in and listening to communities for how to best represent all. Today, we're here at the request of thousands of residents whom we serve to add our support to the calls to defund the police and prioritize investing in community safety and in well-being. Over the last 3 weeks, we have watched brutal acts of racism play out on our screens. We've listened with empathy to the growing chorus of voices bravely sharing their experiences of racism and injustice. We've examined data, read journals, and consulted with community. Indigenous and Black communities have worked tirelessly to shine a light on the impact of systemic racism in Canada and to call for justice and the transformation of all institutions, including the police service.
Hamiltonians have heard the call and are responding. To date, almost 4,000 Hamilton residents have signed onto a petition pleading with City Council to defund the Hamilton Police Service. And in the middle of a pandemic, thousands of Hamiltonians have safely gathered to protest anti-Black and anti-Indigenous racism that takes place across the world and here locally. What does it mean to defund the police? Does it mean there will be no one to enforce laws and traffic violations? No one to respond to property theft? No one to investigate violent crime? No, that is not what is meant by defunding. Defunding is about reallocating money from policing toward community-centered supports. Defunding means prioritizing investments into health, housing, education, and social development to address our Code Red crisis in Hamilton.
There have been 9 instances of fatal encounters with the Hamilton Police Force between 2003 and 2018. A CBC investigative report, Deadly Force, Fatal Encounters with Police in Canada, documents 6 of these, while 2 have occurred since the report's conclusion. 44% of those killed were Black or racialized people, yet account for only 18.6% of the population of Hamilton. Shivrana Abdi, Soon Sang, Andreas Shinri, James Kittley, Fonse Shantachuk, Steve Mezek, Anthony Divers, Robin Garlow, Quinn McDougall. And across Canada, since this April, we've seen the death of Regis Korchinski-Paquette, Dondre Campbell, Chantel Moore, Rodney Levy, Jason Collins, Aisha Hudson, and Stuart Andrews, all of whom are Black and Indigenous. Most Canadians killed in police encounters since 2000 had mental health or addiction issues. We believe it's possible to deeply invest in crisis prevention and intervention without criminalizing mental health and addictions.
Last week, the Police Services Board approved having the Hamilton Police Service report back on what a 20% funding cut to the police budget would look like. The motion did not call for a service assessment of what types of calls police respond to, how, and with what impact. There was no call for statistics on excessive use of force, nor percentage of calls involving mental health crises. This kind of information could have assisted the board in fulfilling its oversight responsibilities, and by extension, assisted the public in determining whether a response from a different kind of service agency might have been more appropriate. The independent review into the events surrounding Hamilton Pride 2019 underscored the importance of oversight, and its findings are a reminder that this is not a time for performance politics and empty gestures. It's never the time.
Since 2005, Hamilton's police services budget has increased by 68%, while crime rates have trended downwards and our population has risen less than 12%. The current annual police budget is $171 million. At the same time, our communities have become overwhelmed with addictions, mental health issues, and critical lack of access to affordable housing. In the 10 years since the Code Red was declared, we failed to improve the severe health disparities in Hamilton. Communities are safer and healthier when we invest in them. Data shows that crime rates go down when neighborhoods have better schools, parks and green spaces to gather and play, access to well-paying jobs along every corridor, transit options, robust social support services, and housing in place.
It is our responsibility as municipally elected officials to demonstrate fiscal leadership by investing with purpose with the expectation of positive returns. It is our responsibility as municipally elected officials to advocate for solutions that will better serve all Hamiltonians and the future of our city. It is our role as Board of Health members to acknowledge persistent inequalities in health outcomes.
It's our role as members of the Board of City Housing Hamilton to underscore the supply crisis in safe, affordable, inclusive housing and bring every solution to the table. It's our role and responsibility to publicly acknowledge the systemic racism and oppressions that exist and insist on a just city in order to build a better city.
It is our role and responsibility to listen and take seriously calls for change, to be open-minded in the examination of what change might look like, and involve community in these conversations.
In this truly historic moment, and while contending with the COVID-19 pandemic, it is clear that there is no going back to normal. We must build a better way forward.